Good morning and welcome to this forum, which is jointly sponsored by the West Windsor Retirees Group and the Village Grand Civic Association. I'm Ron Slynn, leader of the Retirees Group, and I'll moderate the first session that involves candidates for Congressional District 12. Larry Kushner is Vice President of the Village Grand Civic Association, and he will moderate the second session involving candidates for Mercer County Freeholder.
Good morning. My name is Jack Freudenheim, and I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you for the invitation from the Windsor Retiree Group and the Village Grand Civil Association. The reason why I am running is a bit of a story, but basically it comes down to looking at the status of Congress today as it's been for the last several years and seeing that there's been inaction. And we all agree that basically the people in Congress have not done their jobs for the last several years. And I thought we need to do something about it from within the community. And this has been discussed amongst colleagues and friends, and we all thought that one of us could actually do a better job. But the response back was, but there's nothing we can do about it. I investigated and found out I can get on the ballot. I've lived in New Jersey for 25 years, and I'm a graduate from Rutgers University. I was married, 2 kids, and I'm proud to say that both of them are graduates of the universities, and my younger daughter is now attending grad school. During that journey, I've had to encumber excessive debt and the cost of college. This is a specific issue that all of us are affected by today, and that's something that I would want to address as well. And additionally, this economy is claiming to be resurrected out of its depression. However, we're still have a need of expanding jobs. And that's another issue I would like to address as well. But when it comes back to as to why I'm here, I want to take the approach that one of us, as a member of our community, needs to take a stance and do something different in Congress. Bring the voice of our local community, our district, as a member of this community, and be the advocate, be that liaison to speak for us and make a difference in Congress. The partisanship that has gone on in Congress is all about having the parties mandate their stances and their platforms and leveraging the party members to vote accordingly. As an independent, I'm not beholden to that standard. My interest is our community. My interest is to be the voice and advocate for us as the people of the 12th District of New Jersey. That's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very delighted to be here today, and I appreciate your holding this opportunity to listen to the numerous candidates that are running to succeed Congressman Rush Holt in 12th Congressional District. I'm happy to report that I was saddened to learn that he was not going to run anymore, but I'm very happy to report that he is supporting my candidacy. And I suspect he's supporting my candidacy because the congressman had a very vigorous career in Congress as he pursued the rights of individuals, as he pursued environmental rights, human rights, women's rights, the right to vote. And I would very much like to succeed him and work on some of those issues. I've been a career public servant. I've been in state government for 20-some years in various departments representing various interests. But the common theme among any of those department assignments was that I was always engaged in creating programs and delivering services that would lift up the most vulnerable in our society, at the same time protecting the rights of other individuals. So I worked in the Division on Civil Rights concerned with the issues of discrimination because of age, sex, race, religion, and a whole host of other issues. I believe that we have an opportunity now to discuss very important issues, and I am concerned that we have won many battles that are now still being brought back to us and being exposed as vulnerable again. I support a woman's right to choose, and I see that that's a battle that we need to continue to fight and protect. I see public education is an issue that we need to embrace, expand, and make globally competitive irrespective of where our children may be educated. I believe that we need to engage in STEM education and encourage those who've been underrepresented in those areas so we can build our own workforce here. I recognize that voting rights are very important rights that people have lost their lives in order to secure. It's on the chopping block again, and we need to ensure that in the United States of America, where we enjoy and expect our freedoms, that unfettered access to voting is vitally important. I believe that we've got to work harder on ensuring that the movement towards accessible and affordable, strategic, and comprehensive health care needs to be improved, not repealed. I believe that our communities need to be safer, and we need to work on sensible gun legislation and background checks and issues that will ensure that our communities are protected. And I believe that we need to balance the need for information on behalf of our government, at the same time ensuring that we are protecting all Americans. Privacy and protection are equally important. There are lots of things that we need to work on. Job creation is not the least among them. I believe we should have built a tunnel from here to New York, and I believe that working on the infrastructure provides government an opportunity to help spur on this economy. And while I see that the economy has improved under the current presidency, it has not improved under the current governor. And when I see the issues of the rights, the access to voting, the access to women's health care, the access to women's rights, pay equity, minimum wage, I realize that we have a lot to do in this great country, and I want to make sure that this country gets to live up to its promises and expectations. So I offer my candidacy as an individual who does have experience in both the executive and legislative branches. And I do offer my candidacy as someone who will carry out some of the great work that our current Congressman Rushholt is doing. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you for having me here.
Before I begin, I want to thank the West Windsor Retirees Group and the Village Grand Pacific Association for inviting me here today. Before I explain my reasons why I'm running for Congress, I want you to know a little bit about myself. My name is Kenneth Cody. I've lived in the 12th District my entire life. I was born in New Brunswick, raised in East Brunswick, and currently live in Lawrenceville for the past 10 years with my wife, Nicole, and my 6-year-old son, Colin. This is my third time I've run as an independent for Congress in the district. Previously, I ran in 2010 and 2012. One of the main reasons I decided to run again is because of the lack of teamwork in Congress. As an independent, I want to bridge the gap between both major political parties to put a stop to partisan politics. I believe Republicans and Democrats initially enter Congress with the right idea, to work for the American people and put them first. However, political party pressure eventually wins out, and we have a bitter divide between both parties and the president. That is one of the main reasons why, in recent polls, Congress has an approval rating of only 14%. If elected, I intend to work with every member of Congress to promote bipartisanship, to work together to solve the issues, and work for the people of my district, not a political machine. My candidacy is also fighting for strict campaign finance reform. In 2012, the House candidates raised over $1 billion in contributions. In my opinion, it is time to stop campaign spending and get big money out of politics. I'm proud to say that my campaign does not accept any monetary contributions, and I self-fund my own candidacy. I believe we need to set a limit for each election, from the local election to the presidency. A candidate should not ask you for money. They should tell you what their positions are on the issues. We should be saving our fundraising efforts for nonprofit organizations who desperately need, instead of funding candidates. Candidates should be focusing on the ideas that will make America strong again. Think of what $1 billion in political contributions could do for other causes, such as stem cell research, finding cures for disease, funding educational programs, or maybe it could help others in need. Stopping wasteful spending is important, and I will support legislation in Congress to make that happen. If elected, I will support legislation to implement clean energy initiatives for our country. This will help our environment and will have a positive effect on our economy. Here's how this could be achieved. The infrastructure alone of creating wind and solar energy nationwide will produce over 3 million new jobs in our workforce. It will lower unemployment rates and stop our reliance on foreign oil. Also, the benefits of clean energy will be less pollution and a better environment to live in for generations to come. To me, that is the most important aspect in clean energy. Also, we need to help our small businesses grow by supporting more tax breaks incentives so that our local businesses can hire more employees and help see their companies thrive. We have to invest in American business. By doing this, we can keep jobs here instead of outsourcing them overseas. These are just some of the ideas that I have for the future of our country. Win or lose, I hope my campaign can influence others to get involved in the political process, whether as a candidate or as a volunteer. It is a valuable experience that could last a lifetime. I ask for your support on Election Day. I just want to thank everyone here for listening to me and letting me express my opinions on these important issues. Thank you very much.
There were 400,000 people in the streets of New York City on September 21st calling for constructive action to address the climate change crisis. And there were similar demonstrations all around the world that day. In most other countries, a good proportion of those marching for ecological responsibility will be voting for Green Party candidates in their next election. They have no reticence to do so because the electoral systems in most advanced countries enable real multi-party democracy. For example, last month, Sweden held elections, and about 8% of the electorate voted for Green Party candidates. So the Greens now have 8% representation in their parliament. On that basis, earlier this month, the Green Party was included as part of a new governing coalition. In Sweden and many other countries enjoying proportional representation, the Green perspective has significant representation, and a Green vote has significant weight in the setting of policy. But in this country, it's different. Americans who are in agreement with the viewpoint of an alternative party like the Greens or the Libertarians or the Socialists, for example, often feel discouraged about voting for their preferred party. That's because our electoral system and our political culture make an alternative vote seem like a wasted vote. A party that gets 8% support here gets 0 representation and therefore gets marginalized. My campaign is focusing on the idea that the long-time dominance of the two establishment parties has this country in a rut, and we would be better off implementing reforms to open up the system. Toward that end, I'm highlighting electoral system reforms like proportional representation and instant runoff voting. And I'm highlighting campaign finance reforms such as the AACA, that's the American Anti-Corruption Act. In July, the Princeton Township Council passed a resolution in support of the AACA, which would, among other things, bar lobbyists from donating to politicians or offering them deals to influence policy making, require broader disclosure of funds received by and distributed to politicians, prohibit members of Congress from soliciting and receiving contributions from any industry or entity that they regulate, limit the influence of super PAC money, and significantly expand the definition of and registration of lobbyists. If elected to Congress, I would push hard for passage of the AACA and for legislation to level the playing field for alternative parties. Meanwhile, I urge all those who agree with these vital reforms and who support Green Party values to use their vote in November to send a message indicating their desire to see this country move in the direction of ecological sanity and full multi-party democracy. Thanks for allowing me to participate today.
People ask me why I'm running for Congress. That's the focus of this first session. And I'm a practicing physician. I'm a small business woman, a mother of 5, and the founder of a non-government free clinic. I tell people that I'm concerned about the many laws, rules, and regulations that are coming out of Washington. I feel qualified to go there and make a difference. I've seen the havoc that's being caused by people who don't understand the issues when they write laws. There are no women physicians in Congress at this time. Lawmakers wrote the Affordable Care Act without the input of practicing physicians, as if we couldn't be trusted. Well, we can be trusted, as caring for patients is the reason we became physicians. I have the experience and background to serve well in Washington. I attended the Rutgers College of Pharmacy, started medical school in Guadalajara, Mexico, and got my degree from St. Louis University School of Medicine. My husband and I came back to New Jersey, where I did my internal medicine residency in New Brunswick. We settled down in private practice in Piscataway, where we raised our 5 children. One is an ophthalmology resident in St. Louis. Now I live in Franklin Township in the 12th Congressional District. My husband and I started the free clinic at Zarephath 11 years ago. We've had 40,000 patient visits, caring for many who have fallen between the cracks. We've assessed the Medicaid system, a program that is slated to double from 1 million to 2 million New Jersey residents in the next couple of years under the Affordable Care Act. It's already a broken system where patients can't get access to a primary care physician. So broken that the Medicaid office has actually sent patients to our clinic, where everyone volunteers. The cost in our clinic to provide care is $13 per patient visit. Patients aren't charged anything. They can't afford it. But private donations pay the bills. No taxpayer dollars. Taxpayers can't afford to pay the $13 billion in New Jersey for a program that doesn't work well. One example is Deborah, the woman who was on Medicaid. She broke her leg 3 years ago. It was never